Bell rings, get in the square circle, it's time. The Boxing Biz podcast is live. Call in and state your mind, but get checked if you're stepping out of line. Jab right hand combination. We're interviewing fighters from every nation. The phone lines are busy. Have some patience. Your 3 minutes are up. No more conversations. The Boxing Biz, where we handle our business. Handle your business. We handle our business.
DOMINATE activated.
DOMINATE activated. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Boxing Biz podcast show. And we're starting off Monday, right? Morning road work. And shit, man, a lot of happened this weekend. Apologies for not tapping in with y'all yesterday. You know what I'm saying? A little Sunday fun day. And, you know, sometimes the lady has things planned out and you forget. You go blank. And, yeah, I had to play good guy. You know what I mean? Because I'm a good guy. But good morning again. Getting your coffee, bagel. Maybe you like green juice. Maybe you start the day with a protein shake. Whatever it may be. Hope you're having a blessed one. All right? No stress. No stress. Blessed and no stress. Blessed. Speaking of blessed, Richard Hitchins is blessed. He was able to stop Richard was able to stop Kambosos. Something that Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez couldn't do. Now, how do we gauge this, right? Because we all know that opponents, common opponents, don't always give us the right barometer, right? But they give us sort of like a foresight, right, into the future of what we can see for Richard Hitchins. So, big congratulations to Richardson for his performance. And, we had some other highlights. Obviously, my man Andy Cruz. Cuckoo! Shout out to Cuba. You know what I mean? Handling business. You know what I'm saying? He got a lot of haters out there, because they ain't pushing Andy like everybody else is getting pushed. Remember, man, Andy is not a national. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. Andy is not a full-blown American, right? And the American fighters here in the States, they're going to get pushed, you know what I'm saying, a lot more. And to be honest with you, even the European fighters, like I'll use guys like Lomachenko and, Usyk and some European fighters. So it's like I don't know what the positioning is for the push for Andy. But now, you can't deny him. You saw what he did to Mishudo. You know what I'm saying? He handled business. And I know we're not going to put too much stake on Mishudo because we didn't know too much about his opponents, right? Nothing that we could really, really clamor about. But he handled him, man, and he handled him the way he was supposed to. So now Andy, is he up next from Murataya? We'll wait and see. Eddie Hearn suggests snakes and bloodsuckers are putting words into Richard Hitchins's head. Now, we got to, after the fight in ring, you got to hear Richard Hitchins, and I think it was in ring or presser. Excuse me if I fault on that one, but he did say it. He said, "I'm a free agent," and of course, Keith Conley, being the manager, was it advice, that he received, for him to put a little more pressure on the promotions, right, in negotiations. You just never know what's going on. A good manager is always a very good thing to have in the boxing game, right? But as the sport has evolved a bit, boxers knowing they have more power, branding themselves and, opening up their own promotions, they are able to, negotiate fights with a manager. And if you're a free agent. So interesting to see what kind of loyalty, right? Because Eddie Hearn, obviously, excuse me, it's that morning wake up. Let me sip on this lemon water. Can't get enough of the lemon water. So Eddie Hearn, saying that, he's really big on loyalty, right? And in this boxing game, you got to have loyalty. It's one of the things that kind of holds everything together within a team. Managers, trainers, the loyalty, right? But when we're talking about money, you're talking about loyalty towards your promotion, right? We've seen loyalty throughout different promotions. We've seen Floyd Mayweather, Tank, PBC, and I could name a bunch of other fighters, right, per promotion. So there has to be a level of loyalty, right? Because, depending on what stable you have, what type of fighters, what champions within what division, you want to be able to move them around, right? And as a promoter, you want that loyalty that you can say, well, I can move these pieces around, and I could count on my fighters to, if fair play, to roll with me. So loyalty is huge, and if you really think about it, promoters sometimes lay out the cash, for some of these young fighters' career. They take a risk, they take a risk. Sometimes you won't sell tickets, and the promotion might lose some money, as Eddie Hearn described. Shout out to Boxing Scene, and I believe it was the staff. Yeah, by Boxing Scene staff. I guess they gave all the guys at Boxing Scene the credit for the article that was written. But yeah, and and there's a couple of quotes in here that's it's worth mentioning, because again, for the most part, we talk more about the fighters than anything else, but we know that the topics always fall into the business, managers, promotions, the overall scope of boxing. And, it's pretty cool to get an understanding of the overall sport, right? Because it's just not the ring. It's a fight outside the ring. And the promoters fight that fight with the managers. Excuse me. So, and I quote, right? I did feel disrespected because it's not him. It's just dogs around him, said Hearn. There's no loyalty in boxing. You've got to look after yourself. But when someone has come in when you were on the floor, I remember when I first met Richardson Hitchins. The door of his car was falling off. And to be honest, I've spent a lot of money and invested in a young man that I really respect and admire. And I boxed him at Madison Square Garden. I've headlined him in Orlando. When we really didn't sell any tickets and we lost a lot of money, I kept with it. I headlined him in Las Vegas, where again, we didn't sell many tickets and we lost money. Then I paid for him to get the opportunity to fight Liam Paro for the world title. Then I paid up for a big opponent in George Kambosos. Paid up for the big homecoming in New York. But Richard Hitchison is a good kid. He just got some snakes around him, and those snakes will make you feel like you're their guy or they're your guy. But the reality is they're bloodsuckers. Certain individuals take a bigger percentage or the same percentage as the promoter, who is bankrolling you and paying for your entire path in the sport and making the investment. Managers have zero risk. Now let's just stop there before we get into the managers, right? Certain individuals take a bigger percentage or the same percentage as the promoter, who is bankrolling you and paying for your entire path. So, maybe, Eddie in this statement is just trying to hint over that, when you are playing a free agent, the monies that you think you're still going to keep as a fighter, they're still being, played with, or distributed to the powers that be in the managing, I guess, part of the team that'll maybe take a bigger portion. And you got some really good managers and you have some terrible managers, right? Keith Conley being one of the guys that handles business for his fighters. So all is love in war. Well, how does it go? All is fair and love is war. These guys are fighting for the money. Managers, promoters, everybody's just trying to keep some money, man. I'm with the whole thing that you got to take care of the fighter before anybody else, man. The fighter's the one you got to take care of, and these guys can figure it out. But there is money that's lost. There is money that's invested in young fighters that you never get back. So Loyalty a big thing, but let's continue, right? Eddie goes on to say, managers have zero risk. I don't think they have zero risk because managers, like I said, there's good, very good managers, really back you up. I know managers that have, put up money for their fighters and, paid for, certain things during camp. And there's investment to go on the manager side as well, right? So I don't know about the zero risk, but let's continue. Eddie states, managers have zero risk. They just let their promoter do all the work. They negotiate the deal. By the way, a good manager is good for your career. I just understand the game, so it doesn't infuriate me. I just go, you're a dog. You'll get what's fucking coming to you. That's all. That's boxing. You saw how I switched it up there for a second. Cheer. So he does kind of retract that and say that managers a good manager is good for your career. And and there's a lot more to talk about, right? Within these qualms, from promotion to promotion and between fighters. But at the end of the day, man, I gotta, if Richard Hitchins said that, I don't think that he's gonna walk away, right? Being as though what Eddie just said too, put him out there for Liam Pato, that was a big, huge thing in order for Richardson to have more positioning in this game. So, if I know what I know, you know what I'm saying? Richard Hitchins is gonna stay loyal, and before he would make that exit, I think that there would be some talks, sit downs with Eddie Hearn. Again, advice that you receive. I don't know if it's blood-sucking dogs like Eddie's trying to make it out to be, but I know that there's always people. You're the trophy as a fighter. Everybody's trying to get a piece of you. You know what I mean? And Richard Hitchins has got to do what's going to leave him the biggest piece, right? Without being a scumbag, right? Obviously, Richard Hitchins, he got taken care of by Eddie Hearn in so many ways, as stated. And if that's true, then Richard Hitchins looks like he's not that type. He's not a scumbaggy dude. So maybe what he said was just something that needed to be said in order to put more pressure on negotiations, whether that be more money from him, less for Eddie, or more for management. I don't know. It was said, but a lot of things are said, right? Post fight. I mean, you still got adrenaline pumping, and you got guys whispering in your ear, say this, say this, say this. You say it. We'll see what Richard Hitchins has to say more about it as the week opens up and we start to get more interviews. Obviously, Teofimo Lopez steps into the ring. Chill. What y'all feel about that, man? Freaking Teofimo Lopez, man, with the Gucci's on. I don't know when my man wears glasses and then looks at you over them like he on some grandma shit. But shits was fire. Teofimo steps into the ring and looks like New York City wanted to see Richard Hitchins versus Teofimo Lopez, man. Teo asked the crowd and, we get a dope reaction. And, that's what we want to hear. I personally, I want that family affair. I want that New York City King of New York. I mean, I just see so much around this event. You know what I'm saying? We're doing it big. New York. You know what I'm saying? The freaking capital of the world, champ. Babylon style. We go to New York. We put a Teofimo Lopez versus Richardson Hitchins. We dub it King of New York. You know what I'm saying? Who's going to be the king of New York? I mean, I see a lot of money being made and a lot of attendance. You know what I'm saying? Special shout out to all my New Yorkers. I'm in Jersey. I'm going to go. I'm going to see it. I probably won't go because I'll probably be here kicking it with y'all, man. Unless I'm busting it out live out there, which, they'll shut me down on some YouTube shit for that. But I would love to go and see that fight. King of New York. However, we saw what Richard Hitchins did after the fight. He called out Devin Haney, right? And I like it because Richard Hitchins right now, he's just trying to keep his options open. You know, all these fighters, they're trying to do is, make sure they have these options, create these options. Let's have these options. Let's make it happen. But real quick, let me tap into the Chatty Patty. Shout out to all the champions on the early morning road work, man. Gotta salute y'all. Cheer. Let's start it off with, who was on the Chatty Patty first? Clarissa Turcio says business, never personal. That's right. It's all about the Skrilla. Clarissa Turcio's on the return says, did he not cut Matias after his last loss? Oh, you're talking about Eddie, right, Clarissa? Gotta check that. Probably did. Coqui on the chat, he says, saludos. Saludos a usted, hermano. All right. My man Curry in the building says, yer. What's up, champy? Coqui says, Tio versus Gar versus Hitchins makes the most sense. Now, you talking about Tio versus Garcia? What are we talking about there? You hit me with the slat. You hit me with the geometry on that scripture, champ. Tio / Gar versus Hitchins makes the most sense. Gar has 4 wins versus Hitchins in the AM, so there's history there. Okay. You talking about Gary? Dang, you caught me. Shit, maybe it's not. Maybe because I didn't have my morning coffee on this one, Kogi. But Tio versus Hitchins would be for the King of New York. Even Tio Reyes from Florida. Florida is like, I mean, but listen, bro. Yeah, you don't know nobody that lived like 10 years in New York and then he moved 10 years in Florida. Like, if I moved 10 years in New York, 10 years in Florida, so what am I? You gonna call me a Floridian? You gonna call me a New Yorker? Like, you know what I'm saying? The man lived in Brooklyn, all right? He stayed in New York. Koki says 25% of New York, New Jersey folks. Yeah, Gary, I knew it. Gary Antoine Russell. You hit me with the military acronyms. Cheer. Remember that one. But yeah, Gary. See, the thing is, Gary Antoine Russell, he doesn't, he's not, and again, it goes back to what we've been seeing, bro, across the boxing landscape for the last few years. It's what's your social media presence? What's your social media presence period? I mean, and these promoters, they're trying to make fights that are going to make money and they want to sell tickets. And, I'm not saying that, again, Gary Antoine Russell isn't an attraction. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there is more social media presence, and I think to really like spice that fight up with anybody, I think it would be cool if Gary Russell received a little bit more PR and push, getting to know them more. I mean, they're legendary, right? The brothers are legendary. The father, rest in peace, was an amazing trainer, super, super, super good. Amazing father to those men, because they're men now, they're not boys. So it's a legendary family, right, for boxing. But if you want to get them out there into the casuals, you're gonna have to do a little more on that push. You know what I'm saying? Something for the casuals to get behind. Koki said, half of my high school friends from the Bronx moved to Florida. Yeah, bro. Yeah, there was like a migration to Florida a couple years back, bro. Everybody from New York, everybody was moving to Florida. I was like, damn. Koki said, PBC got to keep Gary active more, at least twice a year. Hell yeah. I mean, look, if you're falling under 2 fights a year, that's bad. I mean, they're already getting at you for 2 years. For 2 fights a year. So if you're only fighting once, that's terrible. What am I going to do with that? And again, you want to keep your fighter not just active for his own sake, active, so he's in the public eye, and that's very important, and it works both ways. Coqui says, do you think Keyshawn will get a belt at 140? Shit. I'm not saying that he can't get a belt. What I'm saying that he's going to be going up into the 140 division naked. He going up there naked, stripped, no belt, with the bad juju of not being able to make weight. But I have high hopes still for Keyshawn. I have high hopes for him. He's a great fighter. You know that you can't take that away from him. You know, fucked up, messed up. Not a way to go. But there's a lot of killers at that weight, Coqui. So, you know, we're gonna see what's going on. Cause right now, I'm still salivating for Andy Cruz, Keyshawn Davis. I want to see that, bro. And I don't know when I'm gonna see it, but definitely not gonna be at the 135-pound division. Definitely not going to be at the 135. Coqui says he has Gary Lopez, Puellos Matias there. Yeah, Matias is a fucking monstruo. But, you know, you could buy. I think that definitely Richard Hitchins, not Richard Hitchins, definitely Keyshawn Davis can handle business. So Pierre Matias is a dangerous fighter, but I think when you start to put, you know, real pure boxers in front of him, boxer punchers, he has a bit of a problem with guys like that, with guys like Keyshawn Davis. Excuse me. And Puello too. And don't Puello got some business to handle right now? I think Puello got a fight coming up, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. I think if I'm not mistaken. And where we at here? Man, comments are jumping right now. Let's see. Coqui cooking it up this morning. Cooking it up. He says a lot of heavy hitters there. Shout out to my man Jay Ron. Says, I'd rather see Matias versus Gary. See, that's the fight that will give Matias a lot of problems. Gary is just too much of a boxer, too fast, too many tricks. You know, he's not going to be the guy that's going to stand in front of you, Gary, right? I mean, but he will stand in front of you. He will. But he has the skills to be able to give a guy like Matias a lot of problems, bro. Definitely good fight. Good. You know, styles makes fights. Coqui says, I hope De Los Santos can get a fight this year. He been inactive for 2 years. Yeah. Yeah, man. He could have taken that fight. I think Sam manager Lekowicz was just not willing to put his fighter in danger. You know, I think that's fair. But at the end of the day, you know, you're the fighter. You're gonna want to know. You're gonna want to do what you want to do. So if you tell your manager, "Hey, listen, I want to fight still," and you don't do it, that can cause obviously some friction there in that relationship. You know, De Los Santos still gets paid, but you know, doesn't have that title positioning, which would have put him in line for a better position. I honestly think that Sam did the right thing. You know, whatever the relationships are and whatever, you know, De Los Santos is saying now, really wouldn't matter, man. Keyshawn was going to have the advantage coming in. Coqui says, yeah, Matias and Gary had beef since 2019 in their PBC days. That'll be a bloodbath. See, they got to put the limelight on that. You know, this all goes with the PRing behind these fighters. Matias, you know, not that he doesn't need PRing too, but, you know, Matias has made himself, unfortunately, famous, you know, for being, for the unfortunate passing of the Russian fighter when he fought him, you know. I mean, even Kovalev, you know, he had a story too. He killed a man in the ring. So, you know, you got these guys that have killed guys in the ring, you know, and it's like you automatically, it's like, holy shit, you know, you're getting Subriel Matias, you know, you're getting a fucking bloodbath or a war. And Subriel Matias has kind of had that kind of dark limelight because then, you know, nobody really wants to clamor about, you know, killing a guy in the ring, but it's just going to stick with you, man. I mean, Kovalev, you know, everybody was just so scared of this guy. And, you know, this just sticks with you. It's not bad promo and it's not good promo. It's just something that you did. And it's freaking, you know, something that not too many people do. So it's a dangerous fighter that you're encountering in Subriel Matias. And it just kind of brings a little PR on its own with it. Koki says, yeah, Andy Cruz needs a big name. Andy now has the position. Get ready. I'm backing Andy, man. Andy's my guy. Koki says he's 5'9" and he's learning that Philly professional style now. Yeah, I don't know who 5'9". He said, yeah, Matias versus Puello. Mm-hmm. That's the one that we're waiting for right now. July 12th. Koki says, I'm going to Matias versus Puello on July 12th. My boxing gym, John's Boxing Gym, will be at attending. Matias versus Puello will be a good fight. I got Matias by stoppage, round 7. I like the way you calling the fight already, Koki. He said by round 7. Koki, just by curiosity, are you Puerto Rican? Hell yeah, you Puerto Rican with Koki. Messing with you. I don't think it'll be that easy for Matias with Puello, bro. Puello too can bang. You know, styles make fights too. But Subriel likes that shit. So if anybody's gonna be standing in front of him, it's not a good look. But Subriel can get hurt too. Koki says, I think Matias beat Gary Antoine Russell in 18-foot ring. Gary has lapses when he finished his combinations. When he stepped back, he leaves openings. But Gary Russell has high boxing IQ, but he'll have to throw over 1,000 punches. He has good punch output, Gary. He does. I mean, in the fights that we see him, you see how many punches he throws, and he doesn't get tired. He does not get tired. Shout out to everybody on the chat. Tuning in with the kid here in the morning, road work on the Boxing Biz podcast show. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Come on, champies. Hit that like. Don't cost you a penny. Help out the program. Get out into more eyes. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you like what we're doing, hit the notification bell. Come on, champs. And I'm opening up those Discord phone lines too, bro. Make sure you go follow the Boxing Biz on Discord. Since Skype died out on me in May. You believe that shit? So the Skype number that we had here on the Boxing Biz, which was 856-624-3369, is no longer active. And we'll just be transferring the calls over to Discord. So make sure you guys check out the Discord. And if you want to tap in with us this morning on your way to work or maybe drop off the kids, whatever, you can go ahead and tap on the StreamYard link that I just put up and, you know, come on. You don't have to come on visual. You could come on, you know, just audio. No biggie. And maybe tell us a little bit about what you think about the fights that we saw this weekend, the turnouts, right? And some of the boxing news that keeps breaking day by day. And you know what? Speaking of breaking, not that it's super breaking news, but as we lead up into this Canelo versus Terence Crawford fight, you know, we have so many opinions with who does what, and, you know, who's going to do what, and you know, who's going to win and, you know, all that other stuff. We're going to be talking, obviously, until it happens. Excuse me. And one of the voices that were interesting to me in this, you know, critique about who will win and who won't was trainer Abel Sanchez. Now, to me, trainer Abel Sanchez brings some real information to the table, right? Some real experience to the table, since he and his fighter then, Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, the Kazakhstanian monster, right? He fought him twice. So why wouldn't Abel Sanchez have good insights on what it is to fight Canelo Alvarez? Man, who at the time, right, when Gennady Golovkin, right, was that guy? Who was gonna stop Gennady Golovkin, right? Who was gonna slow down that monster? And along came this little redhead guy named Canelo Alvarez. And for real, a lot of us was like, man, Gennady's gonna be the one. Gennady's gonna be the one to stop Canelo. He's that guy. He's the power puncher. He's that guy. A true 160, right? A true 160. So I'm kind of saying all this to say this, right? You got a guy that was a true 160 pounder who, walked around a lot heavier than Gennady Golovkin, that wasn't able to stop Canelo Alvarez, right? Canelo Alvarez also, bro, is very methodical in the way he breaks down fighters. And I'm in the same thought as trainer Abel. He's going to beat the shit out of your arms. He's going to beat the shit out of your arms. Canelo's going to work those arms like no tomorrow. And I don't know if you guys have seen, but Terence Crawford has long, lanky arms. You understand? They're not like these bulky, arms that you could get punched 100 times on and it's going to be okay. Look at Caleb Smith. Much bigger guy. Blew his bicep out. What do you think he's going to do when he starts beating on the body? What do you guys think he's going to do? And again, remember, guys, I'm picking Canelo, but I'm not saying that Terence can't do the, not the unthinkable, right? But I got to give him credit enough as a fighter that he can possibly get this off, right? Terence Crawford. But when I start to look at these comparisons, man, it just keeps getting harder. The mountain keeps getting bigger when you look at these comparisons and the ability that Canelo has to break down fighters. Punch in the arms. It's going to wear him down. Can Canelo Alvarez start to beat on Canelo and push him back? We're going to have to see this, man. Only guy that I've seen Canelo Alvarez go back on as of late is Dimitri Bivol. He's the only guy that's actually pushed him back. You could probably say Gennady. Excuse me, not Gennady. Golovkin. Excuse me, Gennady Golovkin. Man, what's my man? Kovalev. Excuse me. Kovalev might have pushed Canelo back a bit, right? Here and there. But to push him back throughout the whole fight, it's just not his style. So is Crawford really going to be the fighter to push Canelo back the entire fight? No way. I'm betting from the wallet, not from the heart, right? Because I like the underdog story. It's what I like. I like it when the underdog, has the moment, conquers against all odds. But I can't, well, as a betting man, I can't jump into that bet with 100% confidence. And some of y'all out there are just blindsided. You're not even thinking about any of what, we're trying to point out to y'all about this weight difference because you believe in your fighter. And that's fair. But you got to tell me more about why. Because it looks like the cards are in Canelo's favor more than anything. Shout out to J. Ron. Says Andy Cruz versus Murataya. That'll be coming up. Coqui says, I will admit, Hitchins needed to get used to the 10-pound rehydration limit with the IBF against Lemus. Somebody threw that shit in my face the other day. You ain't see what happened with Richardson and Lemus? Like, come on, champ. Shout out to Coqui for pointing that out. But pressure volume fighters tend to be favored against slick boxers, better than one-punch guys. Yeah, it's true. That's can go either way. Coqui says, I am Dominican dad and Puerto Rican mom, born in Fajardo, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. Toma. Remember that? R.I.P. pun, man. Clarissa Turcios says, I don't think we will see Hitchins with Teo or Haney soon. They will milk a few more fights first. I mean, I don't think... I mean, nah. What are they going to milk? I mean, Richard Hitchison, obviously, you know, when you have fights like, you know, top-level fights with top-level opponents, usually you want to take a good break. Depending on how those fights go, though, you might just jump into another big fight. I don't see Richard Hitchison's excuse for jumping into an in-between fight. Fighter's lifespan. You know, a fighter's lifespan, as far as being in the ring, is short. You know, relatively, right, to the entirety of your life. So, you want to be able to step on the gas. And I mean, Teofimo Lopez, you know, had a few in-between fights before he would fight actual big opponents. And it's okay to take those in-between fights, but you don't want to waste too much time. And you know what happens when you take these in-between fights? Promoters can risk on losing these bigger fights. So even though it could be an option, Clarissa, you know, depending on how the boxing landscape looks, but I think the negotiations to bigger fights is always going to be a precedent, you know. You're going to want to make the bigger fights and put these fighters in the position they need to, because short span in-ring lifespan is short. So a thought, but maybe no. Koki says Styles makes fights. Watch Puello versus Akhmedov. Akhmedov is a high-volume puncher, and Puello struggled with him. Puello has high IQ, but ultimately you need power to discourage Matias and stop his volume. I'm gonna remember Koki. He really wants this fight to happen. Yeah, you gotta really push back the bully in Matias. You can't, you know, fighters like that. You know, in order for you to, you know, sit into your style or get comfortable with a forward pressure fighter, it's gonna take a few rounds for the boxer puncher or the pure boxer to figure out on how he can, you know, find holes to stop that forward pressure. And every now and then you'll see that, you know, a boxer, if you see a boxer fighting a puncher, a boxer fighting a forward fighting puncher, you'll see that, you know, it'll take that boxer puncher a little bit of time, you know, to kind of, what the guys say, download the information, air quotes, excuse me. It's time for some agüita. Give me a second. Yep, lemon water. So, yeah, it takes a little bit of time to download. You know what I mean? Download the opponent, and then, you know, you'll start to see the breakdown of that fight as it develops round by round. Now, I'm not saying that that's always the case. Sometimes you just never figure it out, and you're overwhelmed by that boxer puncher. So the IQ is going to matter a lot. And, yeah, it was just, you know, we're going to be jumping back and forth between these topics, right? But it was just a mention that I wanted to speak on or mention this morning about Abel Sanchez's insights on that Canelo Alvarez fight with Terence Crawford coming up September 13th, which is right around the corner. Man, listen, we're in June, July, August. Shit, man, 4 months. We're almost at the end of the year already. It's crazy. I mean, we're halfway right now, but time's going to fly. And we'll be there already at the fight. Another thing worth mentioning this morning also, right? Being as though that, you know, Turkey Al-Sheikh a few days ago called on the stoppage of Tom and Jerry fights. No more Tom and Jerry fights. And I think, you know, some fighters had some words to speak on, you know, because it is true. The boxer's gonna be the one that kind of suffers on that mandate, right? Because if I'm like a Devin Haney, I'm gonna have to turn things around a bit. If I'm a Shakur Stevenson, I'm gonna have to turn that around a bit. And Raymond Ford, one of the fighters who had some things to say about the Turks' wishes. And I quote, "It's definitely unfair to boxers because with a lot of people, that's all they're taught," said Raymond Ford. And to Fight Hub, shout out to Fight Hub. And that was his reaction, right, to Turki Alashik saying what he said. Quote, "How do you want them to change up their whole style, something they haven't been doing, to something that you want them to be doing?" And this is true. This is what we just talked about. You can't expect people to do exactly, you can't expect these fighters to just meet center ring and maul each other. It's not going to happen, right? But I think that, potato, I think in essence, we just don't want to see 50 punches thrown in a fight and have to pay for that. Nobody wants to do that. Shout out to Coquise. Saludos, bro. Heading to the gym to train, then work. Enjoy your day. Great stream. Just smash the like. Chill. That's what I'm talking about, Coqui. Go get that road work, that bag work, shadow boxing, all that. And if you're only lifting weights, well, go lift weights, champ. Weights are important. You know what I mean? Little jump ropey. Yeah, I'll be going to the gym a little later after we kick it here on the Boxing Biz. Just like my man Koki did, hit that like button, subscribe. Make sure you tap in with us weekly, daily, right? And, if this is the first time you're running into the show, this is the Boxing Biz podcast show. Alex Doomsday Line is your host. Been in the boxing space now for, I'd say about 10 years. And, of course, I'm trying to grow the channel so we can grow the community, so we can grow as a unit and do more here, right? Because obviously I'm going to be taking your questions to the fighters, and we'll start doing our own road work, going out to these gyms here on the east side at least, since I am on the East Coast. But, yeah, let's go. All right, so let's go back to Richard Hitchins, right? Richard Hitchins calling out the Haneys, post-fight, having Teofimo Lopez jump in. I think we got ourselves some options. How much money? I wonder how much money Richard Hitchins did make for this fight that just came out right now. I'm curious to say because he fought Kambosos, and Kambosos' father, Jim, was saying that he negotiated it so good that he took money from everywhere. So I'm curious on what exactly was the payday. Should be the highest payday. All right. Let's find out how much he got paid. It's got to be, for Kambosos. What do you think? 500,000, $1 million? Wow. Got to get these purses out here. Let's see what the payment was to fight Mr. Kambosos. Remember, guys, I'm a one-man army, all right? Shout out to all the Dolo Manolos out here. Excuse me. So he had a guaranteed purse of approximately $425,000 to fight against Kambosos. But, the deal included a 50% share of pay-per-view revenue, which could definitely boost those monies up, right? I don't know how many. Well, you know what? But this wasn't even a pay-per-view buy, right? This was live on the zone, so the deal included 50%. I don't think this is right. But the base purse was $425, right? 425. And then pending me checking this whole pay-per-view buys, which nobody bought pay-per-views unless you had the zone. Potential today could go up to even 1.4 million. I mean, look, $425,000. You already know you're giving half of it away to Uncle Sam. So you got what, 200,000 left at that. 212,500. Clarissa bringing some light to it says, I say he made 700K. Okay. That sounds about right. Given the math. It's good money. I mean, you saw what he was saying. And, shout out to Richard Hitchins, too, for keeping it 1,000, bro. So, that's the type of dude, man. Solid dude, bro. Kept it real. Wasn't making much back in the day. Even went on to say, that Javante, good friend, had his back at times. So no ego there, you know what I mean? A lot of times, you help some guys and, they're like, they act like you never helped them. And Richard, solid guy for saying all that stuff. And no ego. So solid dude, Richard Hitchison. So 700K, huh? All right. I mean, who does he stand to make more money with? I think that obviously that's a Haney fight. Teofimo Lopez. I'm not saying that Teo doesn't have money or doesn't have that pull, right, to be able to make more money, but it's just Haney's that guy, right? Haney has his own promotion. He has no ties to anything. He doesn't have to pay anybody. He has a lot more control in his negotiations and camp. But Teofimo's obviously been little by little, filling into the shoes that he knew he had on since Vasyl Lomachenko fight. He has that type of influence and definitely leverage in negotiations. So hard to say, but I'll go with Devin Haney. Now, what fight do you want to see? Devin Haney versus Richard Hitchison, or do you want to see the Teofimo fight versus Richard Hitchison, which I'm clamoring about, New York, King of New York. I want that. Or do we want to see Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez next? Like, what fight do we want to see? And not for nothing, I feel like Teofimo Lopez is he's just inclining himself towards Hitchison a little bit more. I mean, for him to get in the ring and do all that, I love the way he's playing the board, bro. You got to give him props, to a guy that, was being mistreated and way underpaid. To see Teofimo Lopez now in these options and being able to like have the say, that's what's up. A little agüita. Let's see. We had a bunch of things this morning, man. What's going on here? Like Canelo Alvarez, Richard Hitchison. We have matter of fact, this weekend also we have some good fights coming up. And we're gonna start getting ready for those, right? Obviously, this weekend was a lot of fun. Richard Hitchison being able to do what he needed to do, right? But we got some stuff coming up this weekend that we should be getting into. Zaquim Moses, gotta mention Zaquim Moses, obviously here from Newark, from New Jersey, and he stopped Carl Rogers in the 4th round. So keep an eye out for Zaquim Moses, right? He's knocking him down, and he's doing it the right way. Excuse me. Let me see, Andy. We know Andy's probably going to get Murataya next. And, yeah, looks like we might keep it a early morning today, right? I was trying to go a little longer, but trying to see if I can get squeeze a little more out of this morning. Shout out to Clarissa Turcios, says Tio would have a huge fan base if he was Mexican or Puerto Rican. This is what it is, right? we're from Honduras. I say we, right? Because I'm Honduran too. But I think that Teofimo's influence, not influence, but his attraction kind of stretches on to Mexico, to Latino America, right? Because that's what it really is. But obviously, Mexico being the one of like the nations on the planet that really represent boxing and truly have a boxing culture, that would be that would be definitely a push. But yeah, small country. But we still support. We still support. Small country, but we still support. Let's see. All right. Let me get that in line. Shout out to Clarissa Turcios. Clarissa says, I'm Honduran as well. Paisana. That's what's up, man. Gonna have to hit the let's go champ. You feel me?
Let's go champ. You feel me?
Shout out to La Paisana, Clarissa Turcios. On the chatty. Shit, I look Cuban. Yeah, trust me. They tell me everything but Honduran. That's how it be. But yeah, 100%. I got a mixed family though. I got cousins half Honduran, half Cuban, half Colombian, half Honduran, just half and halves all over the place. I'm the only purebred. All right, so what do we got this weekend? Hope you guys are making it to work safe. Shout out to everybody, all the early birds, right? For all my overnight, late night graveyard shifters who are just coming home and getting to bed, man. Shout out to you guys. Probably won't be able to stay up with me, but if you did for the hour, shout out to you guys. All right. Clarissa say you are the Cuban link of the terror squad. You funny. Yo. Shout out to TS. TS. What do we got? Norman Jr. this weekend. That's right. Heavy hitter Norman Jr. versus Sasaki. And, I think this is, it is this. Well, it's this Thursday. Okay. Norman Jr. fighting on Thursday. Now, I guess we'll break that up a little bit better. I'm not going to, Jamal Charles is an interesting fight. What? Danny Garcia says Keith Thurman versus Jermell Charlo is an interesting fight. Wants to watch it unfold. Damn, my man Keith Thurman too. He beat the shit out of that Australian kid, man. Really beat the shit. I mean, he knocked him out. So that is very interesting. Jermell Charlo versus Keith Thurman. I don't know if we get something like that. When you guys were talking about Keith Thurman was a done deal, and he goes in there, he stops the Australian kid the way he did. A lot of you guys were quiet after that, because of course Keith Thurman is obviously one of the fighters that is already on his way out, so to speak. We're not really talking about him being in there with any of the new guys, but Jermell Charlo, why not? I mean, Brock Jarvis it's not like Brock Jarvis was like a huge test. He, he was a young fighter that was willing to take a fight with a veteran. But if you look at Keith Thurman's resume, it's just, top guys. You can't, even though he's older, 36. We can't go against Keith too much because he does have the skills not to get hit, right? It's not like a fighter that's in there getting beat on all the time. Life expectancy for fighters depends on their styles a lot, and Keith Thurman never had a style that would put him in a bad place late in age in the ring. I don't think he's taken that much damage to be able to or to be in that position where we're worried about him being in there with guys like Jermell Charlo. So maybe Danny Garcia is not wrong. Maybe that is an interesting fight. And Jermell hasn't been active though, right? He had that Canelo fight. Forget about it. He fought Canelo and said, you know what? I'm gonna relax. No more fighting for me for a while. Made a lot of money, Jermell. A lot of money. I mean, that was retirement money, really, for Jermell. So, if he comes back out, he would have had a long time out of the ring. That's a lot. September of 23 is when he fought Canelo. So you're talking about 2 years already. It's going to be that he hasn't fought at all. And we know how dangerous that is to a boxer. Being inactive is one of the worst things that you can do as a boxer. So when does that happen? How does it happen? Oh, man, I'm getting my delivery ginger shot special here. Wifey went ahead and bought us some ginger and turmeric shots in the morning. Ooh. Got to get that inflammation down, fellas, ladies. Health is wealth. And I guess this ginger shot with turmeric is necessary, right? They got a bunch of things that are good for inflammation. But, expect Doomy to be in the boxing gym real soon. So I'm going to contact some of the homies. Shout out to Rajan Chance, one of my ex-coaches, too. And I'm going to go visit you, bro. I think that's what I need. Listen, I work out. Obviously, I run miles. It's nothing to me, right? I love it. But sometimes you just need it to get in there and punch a bag, bro. There's something about the boxing gym that just gets you in that zone, punching something. That raw energy, being expelled through physical, not animosity, but veracity. Gotta have it. Yeah, bottoms up. Let me shake this shit again, because if not, all the turmeric stays at the bottom. Then I get hit with that little bit of taste at the end. For the people that are not able to see, I'm holding up a ginger shot here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but bam. Bottoms up. Here we go. Man, that was actually real good. Yeah, these were good. I had to yell it out to wifey. Wow. Black pepper, echinichia root, and flour. All right, enough with my health. My health advice this morning. Man, that was pretty good. Again, everybody tuning in, man. This is the road work at 7 a.m. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, I can't mention it enough, right? Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Smash it. Smash it. And tell a friend to tell a friend. Start out your day here on the Boxing Biz. 7 a.m. Road work. All my road warriors. Getting up, getting early. Out the door to work. You know how it is. Y'all are the real champs. Champ. Clarissa Turcio says, let Thurman and Spence fight. They have been inactive. I like that. And I think Earl wants a fight. Need to get some more Skrilla. Who knows? He needs another fight. See, because at least you keep it, you keep it in the same age group with a Thurman and Spence fight. You know what I mean? You keep it in that age group. There's no real excuse for one or the other side. Makes a lot of sense. They've both been inactive. And I think, so Terence Crawford, definitely the last guy Errol fought. So coming back to a Thurman fight, that would be like a classic fight, right? It's not something that is going to do anything for the landscape, right? It's just sort of a fight that we wanted to see, right? We wanted to see this fight. We didn't get it. And a fight like this is something like, us getting a Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. It's a fight that has no real impact on the championship landscape, for a title or anything like that. But it's a fight that we want to see. So I definitely vote with you on that one, Clarissa. Spence and Thurman fight. Keith Thurman, I don't know what he's chasing these days, but he's probably, chasing the money. And a money fight with Earl Spence, I mean, it's nostalgic. I tune in for it. Earl Spence, Keith Thurman. Even though Earl Spence, man, I don't know, post-accident, I felt like he could have done a lot better with Terence Crawford in that fight. Not to take away anything from Terence, for all you T-Bud supporters come at me and shit, but I think that Errol should have... If we would have caught the fight before the accident, I would have felt much better with giving all credit due. But we all know Earl wasn't the same guy, man, after the accident. He wasn't the same guy, man. We could tell. So, are we going to get Earl Spence Jr. That can be super competitive, right, with a Keith Thurman? Because, again, Keith Thurman just finished fighting a young guy. And he put him out. Clarissa Tusha says, Jermell needs to come back. Cannot let that last terrible performance be his last. Hell yeah. It's one thing that a boxer doesn't want to do. You don't want to leave the sport. And that's something that really can work against fighters. Because once fighters, again, matter of fact, give me a second, guys. I think I got something that just came in. Eddie Hearn, Turkey Al-Sheikh will only work with Matchroom on Richard Hitchins fights. Oh, shit. So this is where the actual negotiating power comes in, right? This is when the relationships are important in boxing. And Eddie Hearn just saying, right, that he's big on loyalty. And now Turkey Al-Sheikh will only work with Matchroom. So that means that if Richard Hitchins decides to go free agent and try to do something, it might not work out. Wow. Eddie Hearn told The Ring on Sunday that His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh contacted him this morning to say he will only work with Richard Hitchins if Matchroom is involved. Al-Sheikh's support for Hearn comes after Hitchins delivered a career best performance Saturday in New York. Yes, it did, but we know that already. In his post-fight interview, Hitchins, 20-0 and 8 KOs, announced he's now a promotional free agent. Comments that didn't please Hearn. We know that. The Matchroom chairman signed Hitchins in 2022 when he was still a rising contender. 6 fights later, Hitchins is a champion, 140 pounds, coming off his first successful title defense. I was disappointed with Richard Hitchins' comments. Well, we know that now. I want to know when did Turkey Al-Sheikh say that, but I guess it's just Eddie telling us that Turk gave him the call. Now we got a little bit more insight. You see what happens? See, this is the type of shit that's crazy about the sport, man. The business side is more treacherous, man. So now as a fighter, I can be kind of forced to be technically binded to the promotion, because now a guy like Turk won't work with me unless I'm with Matchroom. What kind of shit is that? Thought I was the fighter. I thought you wanted to work with me. So this is what's going on. This is the other side of boxing that gets treacherous, bro. So now Turk won't work with Richard unless Richard is working with Eddie. That shit is crazy. And again, not that I don't want Richard to work with Eddie and, keep that loyalty, because if you did invest in a fighter, lost money and all that stuff, and then the fighter just leaves you, that's bullshit. So let's see what this turns out to be. But it's just a perspective to think about, bro. Like, You know, you're trapping me into dealing with maybe, and this, I'm not saying this is the case for Hitchinson, but you know, when Turki Al-Sheikh says these things, you know, you're trapping the fighter. You know, you're binding him by force, technically, right? Because I want to work with you, Turk, and I want to get paid, and I want to be in these big fights and big events. So, yeah, I want to do business with you, but I can only do business with you if I'm with whatever promotion you want to do business with. I don't think that sits too well. I think my man Turk right now is flexing. He's flexing right now. I mean, he spent a lot of money on boxing, so I can't even go too hard on Turk right now. Goes on to say, Eddie says, I had a heartwarming call from Turki Al-Sheikh this morning, who confirmed he will only deal with Matchroom moving forward on Richardson Hitchins. So we will begin those discussions. Shout out to my man Mike Coppinger, senior insider for the Ring, or is the Ring senior insider. Shout out to my man Mike Coppinger. So what do you guys think about that shit? I mean, you're trying to like basically tie me to dealing with people that I might not want to deal with, and I'm the fighter? Jeez. Clarissa Turcio says, shout out to us who are just getting off of work. Shout out to all my graveyards, bro. For real. Man, I worked the graveyard shift, and you know, they call it the graveyard shift, right? You guys ever wonder why they call it the graveyard shift? But, yeah, I worked the graveyard shift for 2 years, man. 2 years I worked at in Newark Airport. Shout out to the whole team at Port Authority. Shout out to Building 1. Yeah, shout out to all the overnighters. That sounds like blackballing, Clarissa. Yeah, that's what that is. I mean, it's putting pressure on a fighter to negotiate, to have that intermediary, right? When maybe the fighter might not need it and might not want it. Don't really like that. But this is the game we play. This is boxing. This is negotiating. The best you can do, at least, to negotiate. What do we got here? Turki Al-Sheikh in the ring. Well, yeah, that's what popped up. I thought it was something more juicier, but it did give us a little bit of insight on what Turki Al-Sheikh said, which I think is total horseshit. Definitely. Let me see Opataya. You know what? I was watching Opataya and Apache. I don't know if you guys know who Apache is. Let me just bring him up on the screen, because when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, maybe. And I haven't seen Apache in a long time. And if you guys know who I'm talking about the Nigerian pit bull, Efetabor Apache. And I'll bring him up on the screen right now real quick, just so some of you guys don't know who I'm talking about. The reason I'm bringing up Apache right now is because I seen the amateur fight with Opataya, and Apache beat him, man. And Apache was clamoring to bring him out to face a guy like Opataya. Obviously, Opataya was a smaller guy in the amateurs. He's much bigger now. If you guys remember this guy, right? This guy beat Opataya in the amateurs. And where's Opataya? You see right here, Opataya by unanimous decision. If you guys can see right here, he beat him. So, I mean, it's a good story. And I don't know really why Apache hasn't been active. For the life of me, I don't know if it's something to do with, promotion, managing. Could be a number of things. But looking at Apache's amateur record, it wasn't like he was like always on top. But he beat Opataya. After Apache left, he left without really much, really without much of a story, man. And the guy only lost 3 times. Wasn't like he was knocking guys out. I mean, he beat my boy Dion Nicholson, man, in 3 rounds. So I was like, damn, you beat him like that. Matter of fact, call me. Gotta give the keys up. Had to say goodbye. Goodbye to the wifey. All right. What else can I jump into, man? Well, Brandon Glanton. Yeah, he lost to Brandon Glanton. So yeah, just looking at Opetaya's stuff right now, I was like, you know what? I gotta mention F-Thor. What else can we talk about, man? Why am I feeling light right now in the morning? Jeez. Honestly, there's just so much to talk about, actually, to be honest with you. Well, we got a bunch of fights coming up soon, and we'll get into it more. I'm actually going to be coming back with another show, too. We have our show After Lunch special at 1 o'clock. So boxing after lunch. Stay tuned with us at 1 o'clock. It's probably going to be time for me to, make some cafecito and breakfast and start to scour the landscape. But listen, if y'all really have some more topics that you guys want me to tap into, man, go ahead and throw them in the comment section. And definitely comment on the episode. Usually when I communicate with you guys afterwards is through those comments. So please feel free to go ahead on those comments and, talk boxing and make your suggestions. And we can always tap in and definitely, touch on some of these topics that you guys want to talk about. I mean, again, this is the Boxing Biz, a community for the people where we handle our business. And 8:13 a.m. Monday morning road work. Shout out to my man Ryan Hong with the illest bear avatar. Looks like a bear ate a bear. Says Sam Goodman versus Nick Ball. Who do you got? It's kind of hard to pick against Nick Ball, Ryan. I got Nick Ball. I'm really big on Nick Ball. I think he's a legit little monster, of a pit bull. So Nick Ball on my pick right off the bat. Not to say that, we can't give Sam Goodman some credit. Obviously undefeated fighter, and he handles business, right? It's not like he knocks guys out all the time. That's why Nick Ball is more like my pick, He's a wood chipper, man, Nick Ball. He's a freaking wood chipper. And I got to tap in with my UK brethren, man. Where y'all at? I know Ryan, right? But where's everybody at from the UK, bro? What time is a good time to jump on for the UK? I was going to try to jump on at night because I got that 5-hour difference, bro. Shit is ill. Yeah, I got that ill-ass difference in hours. Ryan Hong says, I think Sam Goodman schools him. Damn. All right, Champy. I have to go back and jump on some Sam Goodman fights. I mean, you got to understand, too, Sam's fought all his fights with, with opponents in the UK. And I just think that, Nick Ball has a little more overall experience in the in fighting different places and different types of styles, Nick Ball. But if you say so, we can actually do a UK show on that one too. I know that's going to be coming up soon. It's going to be in August, but I mean, definitely like 2-3 months away from that matchup. And we'll get on top of that one. Raymond Ford, Anthony Casase headlining that card, Riyadh season. So Nick Ball, Sam Goodman. Oh, that's the same card with Moses and Dillian White. Wow. That's a nice little card they got going there. Philip Hergovich, David Adelaide. Which David Adelaide, not for nothing, could be that dark horse to give Philip Hergovich some real problems. But Moses Itama. Damn, I hope I'm not killing your shit, Champy. But that's the fight that I had a little bit of like an issue with, man. I think that Dillian White coming back to fight a guy like Moses, man, that shit sucks. You get hit by one of those bombs, it's over. Whoa, Clarissa Tucci said White is getting slept. Yeah, he getting slept if he gets hit with one of those bombs. And again, I don't know how much credit we give to Moses, right? The thing is that I'm the type of guy that, like, I see it for what it is. Yeah, Dillian White is a good fighter. Yeah, he's done a lot. But where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now? You're 37 years old. You're in the heavyweight division. And you've been knocked out by heavy punches. Povetkin slapped him. You understand? Even though he got his get back, he got his get back. I guess I can't really come down on this fight too much. Being as he's a heavyweight, 37, okay. I mean, it's gonna be a good test, right, for Moses while it lasts. It's just I think the speed is too much. The speed is too much. That's gonna be the deciding factor in the Dillian White Moses fight. It's gonna be the speed, and Moses just has way too much of it. But I'll tap in. Definitely gonna want to tap in then. Now that I'm looking at it, right? He's 37 years old, but he's been in a few wars. I'm still gonna go with Moses, though. I like the attitude that Moses has in the ring. Slick, fast fighter. So yeah, that was what Ryan was talking about. Nick Ball, we'll definitely keep that in line. Ryan Hong says Moses is the next big shit in boxing. Damn, the next big caca. It's like, nah, let me stop playing. Yeah, he's the next big thing for sure, champ. Young, bro. Ready to do it. All right. I think that we'll tap out. We'll tap out on this one. And come back around for boxing after lunch at 1 o'clock. So make sure you stay tapped in. Hit that notification bell, champies, so you know when we're going live, right? Every now and then, I might be off by like 5 minutes. But we got the schedule tight this morning, 7 a.m. on a dot. And we'll continue our broadcast schedule throughout the day. So check us out on Boxing After Lunch at 1 if you guys can. Shout out to all my overnighters. If you're still sleeping, well, sleep. If not, you went to sleep listening to the Boxing Biz. You woke up listening to the Boxing Biz. Cheer! Shout out to my man, Fight Frames. Says good name to have on his resume. Well, yeah, that's that's what Moses takes away from this. And the name. The reason I was having a little bit of trouble with it right now is because you're taking that name at what time? What time in that career? And, you got the age difference. You just got, it's the same story, right? The same tale. Young lion beats the older lion, right? Takes the kingdom and along we go, right? So a great name to have on the resume. You got to see, if he goes in there, he starches Dillian White. And this is what I mean about boxing and boxing fans and the way we judge, right? Because I know if Moses goes in there and he starches him, it's going to be like, oh, he fought an old Dillian White. Oh, Dillian White was knocked out already. There's just a bunch of shit that's going to come behind it. But I'm pretty sure if we get a few rounds, right? maybe a good 5-6 rounds. And that'd be good for Moses to be in there with 5-6 rounds with a guy like Dillian Whyte. You know, that's great experience, you know. You're in there with a champ, with a super champ, legendary out there in UK, right? Always came up a little short, but he's definitely the guy that's going to give you some star power when you got him on the name. LDUBB Boxing in the building. And if I'm not mistaken, hold on, let me see something. I gotta get closer to the computer. Oh, matter of fact, I don't. I'm gonna just expand that real quick. What that say? Oh, okay, that just says LDUBB. Says boxing plug. Boxing emoji with the plug. Champ. Shout out to the LDUBB. Ryan Hong. Do you think Usyk Dubois 2 goes the distance, or you think Usyk stops him earlier than 9? Ryan, you brought up Usyk Dubois. Let's keep talking boxing. I ain't going nowhere. Usyk Dubois 2. Usyk Dubois 2. This is not going the distance. And I tell you who's going to make sure that it doesn't go the distance. It's going to be Dubois. Dubois is going to make sure this doesn't go the distance. Now, either Dubois finishes him or Dubois makes mistakes that puts himself on the receiving end of a stoppage. Dubois has made it very clear that he's going to go in there and he's going to make it an ugly fight. Dubois has been real clear that, you know, he's not going in there to play around. You know, and if what we've been seeing from Dubois lately goes along with what he's saying, that we know it's true. Dubois is going in there to try to make this a short fight. And honestly, man, you know, the punching power that Dubois carries is very real and very dangerous. I mean, you've seen what he did to AJ, you know? And I know you guys are going to say, well, AJ was already compromised. I don't know about it being compromised. But he got hit once, and it was murder, she wrote. And if you guys take a look at Dubois' knuckles, next time you guys, you know, are watching the Dubois interview, or if you're able to have see a position of Dubois when he's showing his hands, bro, Dubois' hands look like a bag of rocks. Knuckles don't even look right. Knuckles look deformed, bro. He looked like the real Doomsday and shit with fucking rocks. Like, his shit's is crazy. It's probably like 2 of mine and shit. You know, this shit matters. You know? Heavy-handed, heavyweight with gas. And he showed the gas he's had in the Jarrell Miller fight. And in his last few fights, he's been doing very well. Dubois is going to make it a short fight, man. And again, it could work against him if he runs into like some counter punching. You know what Usyk's gonna do, man. Usyk's already fought him, so he's already, quote, I do air quotes, he's already downloaded. He's familiar with the fighter. He knows a bit about what he's to expect in the ring. So we know Usyk is a thinker. One of the best minds in boxing. So the adjustments that are going to be made are going to be made. But you can't adjust to that power. And Dubois carrying that in there. And that's going to be the X factor. That's going to be the X factor right now in the fight. It's going to be the power. So yeah, man, if you're asking me, does it go past the 9th round? Well, you got championship fighters, you know. Does it go past the 9th round? I believe it can go past the 9th round. But, you know, that 9th round as a gauge is pretty good, Ryan, you know. That's when if they pass the 9th round, then we might have a 12-round decision, right? But I just, you know, with that type of power, I mean, you can't count that out until the last round. So, do you think he stops him earlier than 9? And you're saying Usyk. Do you think Usyk Dubois 2 goes the distance? Do you think Usyk? So you're thinking that Usyk stops him. All right. this whole time I'm thinking that, you're on the same boat with me, that Dubois is going to be the one. But if you say so, then okay. All right. So my man Ryan says Usyk's going to stop him. I don't know if I can go with that, man. I said Dubois has so much confidence right now, right? And I know confidence doesn't win fights, right? Skills pay the bills. But he has the level of confidence right now that he's really impressive right now. He's really impressive right now. And of course, he stopped him last fight, bro. But I just think that this time around is going to be a little different. I think both fighters have kind of felt each other out. And Dubois' gas tank, I believe, is a little better. So, he beat Jarrell Miller. He beat Phillip. He beat Anthony. He's been on a winning streak. Confidence level is up. Things are going to be a little different this time around. Let's go with, wow, shout out to the whole chat. Going Hamsky. Clarissa Turcio says, Moses has had power since he parted the sea. Oh, shit. Shout out to Clarissa. You phony. You a phony gal.
Doomatron activated.
Let's go, champ. All right, let's go back to the comments. Ryan Hong says, I think this shit goes 12. This time Dubois resurrected his career since he quit the second time against Usyk, and Usyk is the GOAT of boxing. Ryan. Yeah, so you see, right? I think like you just said, it's like evening out, right? Like you're looking at the boxing landscape right now. You're seeing what's obviously happened to my man Dubois' trajectory in the last 3 fights. He's been on a terror, TKOs, right? And that gives a boxer a lot of confidence, just a lot of confidence coming into the fight. So a 12-rounder is super possible, super possible. But what I just want to point out is with the Dubois power, you could get knocked out in the 11th round. You get knocked out in the 12th. So Ryan says should be 12 competitive rounds. Yeah, and look for Daniel Dubois to look for that body shot. That low blow, air quotes. I don't know who on here right now is a Usyk fan and thought that Usyk got hit under the belt, but if you are that person, you're lying. You're capping for your guy. He got hit right on the belt line. That shit was fucking ass. And these are the things that I'm like, damn, you can't control it. Like, referee called it. Usyk milked the shit out of it. And if you see the interviews of Usyk and Daniel Dubois on Piers Morgan, I don't know if you guys caught that one, but you just see how confident a Daniel Dubois is. And you see Usyk sort of like kind of circumventing some of the stuff that Piers Morgan was saying, right? Because Piers Morgan, to me, looked like he was siding with Daniel more than Usyk. And I think we could take a look at the actual interview together. I think it'd be fun to hear Piers Morgan this morning. If some of you guys didn't catch that interview, it's a good interview. I mean, it was freaking 49 minutes long, but we could definitely point out some of the highlights. And they talked about a bunch of stuff, even politics, right? They even asked Usyk about fucking my man Putin and shit from Russia. I should bring it up. You know what? I'll bring it up a little bit. See if I can get some. And Piers Morgan. This is as of late too. They've been really putting boxers on Piers Morgan. And Piers Morgan, Hell of an interviewer, right? Always a great interview with him. But if you put some of the highlights, I guess we could put some of the highlights of the interview. I'm going to put it up now. Just give me a second, guys, while I share this with you. Again, thank you for tuning in here on the Boxing Biz early morning show, 7 to 9, morning road work. Shout out to all my overnighters just getting home. Just took the showie, put the jammies on, ready to hop into bed. Man, you guys are heroes, bro. And everybody else is starting off their morning with the Boxing Biz here on YouTube. Check us out on all platforms. Make sure you follow us on IG, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and all social media platforms. Okay. Actually, let me see if I can let me see this. Look at this. This is one of the questions.
Yeah, it was a hard punch. Yeah.
The hardest you've had?
Now, this question that he asked them, all right, just so you guys know what's going on. Just so you guys know what's going on, right? He asked.
No.
Come on, dude.
Because when I was young.
Look how Usyk tries to how he tries to go around this question. I'm gonna play this again from the start. Hold on. All right, tap in with me, you guys. Right now, for those who are not able to see, I got Usyk on a quick little highlight clip when he was asked by Piers Morgan if what was the hardest punch that he ever received, right?
I take punch with our horse.
A horse?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that the hardest punch you've ever had?
Yeah, it was a hard punch. Yeah.
The hardest you've had?
Yo, Usyk is a character. Yeah, he's asking them. Piers Morgan is asking him, was it the hardest punch you ever had? He says, it was a hard punch. Look at his face. Oh, man, you got to love boxing, man. It's just some fighters that are characters, bro. Usyk is a character.
No, because when I was young, I take punch with our horse.
He said the hardest punch he ever took was from a horse. Let's see where he goes with this one. Oh, jeez Louise, bro. Ryan Hahn says should be a competitive fight, 12 rounds. Clarissa Turcio says Usyk should completely control the rematch. You know what? You would so think that, right? Because he is according to what we've seen, right? He's the smarter fighter, right? He is the boxing Mensa IQ level type of fighter, right? So he would be the ones to be able to make the adaptations. However, Clarissa, you cannot make any adaptations to power. You can't adapt your chin to any. You got power, you get clipped, is over. Clarissa on the return says that was a perfect body shot. I think Usyk was really hurt and couldn't get up. Come on, man. We all know he went poopy on his pants. Ryan Hong says Piers Morgan don't know shite about boxing. Ah, shit. Ryan Hong says should stick to muffins and tea. He is a clown. Wah, 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 wah. But let's continue on, right? Usyk says that the hardest punch he took was from a horse. Jeez.
A horse?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
A horse?
Horse, yeah.
The hardest punch you've ever had?
Hey, yo. He did the whole thing, bro. He did the whole. Hey, I'm sorry about that, guys. He got me cracking up over it. He said, oh, man. My man was riding a horse into that punch. Well, I don't know if you guys were able to hear that. If you guys just experienced a small, if you guys just experienced a moment of silence, it's because I thought I was sharing it with you guys, but apparently I wasn't. I'm just gonna keep playing this. This is the laugh I needed this morning, honestly.
Punch you've ever had?
Yeah, it was a hard punch.
The hardest you've had?
No, because when I was young, I take punch with our horse.
A horse?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
A horse?
horse. Yeah,
Well, how did it punch you?
my hands like this. Because I work in farm.
Hold on. He said, "How did the horse punch you?" Yeah, I want to know too. How did the horse punch you in the face, champ? Oh man. Piers Morgan. Hold on, real quick, guys. Got the pre-production sending me some stuff here, and want to know what it is. All right, there's nothing here. All right, nothing here. All right, so let's continue with this comedy special this morning.
Like a horse going, yeah. I go to, hey, get out. Boom.
With his head?
This,
With the head?
yeah. No.
Kick.
Like in the legs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Legs, boom.
All right, so
I'm
let me
out.
let me ask you.
Yo, he said, yeah, he kicked me in the head. Bro, you got kicked in the head by a horse? I mean, he said that he was blocking it, right? Usyk was blocking it. I don't know if you guys ever run. I mean, I run into a bunch of stuff on online, right? On social media, clips and all that. And I've seen horses, right? Clip people. I mean, you get kicked by a horse, man. It's a big deal, to say the least. You'll get knocked out. So yeah, maybe he's gotten punched by a horse, but you ain't never get punched by a superhero, freaking fist-sized lunchbox. So I don't know if that was just him just trying to get away from, him actually admitting that that was one of the hardest punches that he ever, Oh, snap. So he pushes him, huh? Looks like we got... Oh! I didn't even see that. Damn. Shout out to the UK right now. Danny Dubois, bro. Straight mushes Usyk. I didn't even see that. Let's take a look at that, actually. So I don't know if you guys had seen this, but when they were doing the face-off in Wembley Stadium with Usyk and Daniel Dubois actually pushed Alexander Usyk, man. There's something going on. There's something that was really burning inside of Dubois for him to do that. Yeah, this is a personal matter, I think, for Dubois, man. Definitely. Let's go back up to some of these comments and tap in with the chatty patty right now. Clarissa on the return says, saying a horse was admitting that that was the hardest punch. Yeah, right? That's what I'm getting out of it. Shit, you couldn't think of another human being that punched you? You had to go into the animal kingdom and shit? Said a horse punched me. I'm going to bring this back up on stage, though. Shit, man. This is definitely going to be something to look forward to. And not because we already wanted the rematch, but because we're seeing like some real tension here. Now, for those that are just watching, right, and unable to see visually, there is a face-off going on between Daniel Dubois and Usyk in Wembley, and it looks like Daniel Dubois just mushes him, man. Let's take a look.
Yeah. There it is. What happened here?
For me, it doesn't matter. For me, it doesn't matter. Listen, this is show now. Fight we 18 July.
19th of July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it just show.
Now it's just show. That shit got him mad. He wasn't able to mush him though. I'll tell you what. He wasn't able to mush him. It's I mean, Daniel Dubois is not much bigger, but I see Daniel Dubois being a lot more bulky for sure, right? I see Daniel Dubois being, more husky, if that's the right word. So Daniel Dubois really tried to mush him, bro. He did the whole cock back too. It wasn't like he pushed Daniel Dubois. I mean, Daniel Dubois didn't just push Usyk like a quick push. You saw the setup, and I don't know if Usyk kind of like saw the setup to a push and started to like harden up, so he wouldn't get mushed out of the fucking way. But that was a hard push for sure, and Usyk didn't really fall back the way I would have thought he would. There's some guys that have been pushed, man, in face-offs and the likes of those type of situations, and some dudes be flying. It's like when Keyshawn Davis pushed De Los Santos. Honestly, and I'll just real quick, right? We'll come back to Dubois and Usyk, but real quick, going back to shoving and pushing. When Keyshawn Davis pushed De Los Santos at the weigh-ins, at the face-off. No, excuse me, at the press conference, the one before the weigh-ins. When De Los Santos reached over and tried to yank on Keyshawn Davis's belt, and you saw how Johnson, been doing that a lot. You saw how Keyshawn Davis pushed him with one hand. He pushed De Los Santos with one hand. Yeah, I go back and see that press conference, man, when De Los Santos, try to grab up the belt. If you guys go back and see that push, bro, like you saw that Keyshawn Davis was the stronger guy. He mushed him one-handed too. De Los Santos fell back like, oh. And yeah, it just going back to that, you can get a little bit out of that too, right? Readiness, power, strength. Not to be taken too much into an account into the overall result of a fight, but you can see that, you're not just going to shove me around, move me around. Yeah. Let's go back to the chatty patty. Clarissa Turcios. She cooking it up. It's early morning. Back from the overnighter. Cooking it up. Got the breakfast ready. Says, I'm sorry, but I am one of the few that still feels that Fury beat Usyk twice. I don't know about twice. Because the second one, I think it was. I believe. But Usyk definitely almost had Fury out of there. I was actually very worried for Fury in that fight. He was going to get knocked out. The ropes held Fury up. Yeah, that was, I don't know. I don't know about that one, Clarissa. I don't know about twice. Definitely had my man Fury in trouble. Had him Bambi legs, looking up at the stars and shit. Had Usyk had Fury looking sideways and shit, like his whole face changed when he got cracked. Face super changed. Ryan Hong on the return says, after that push, I think Usyk might stop him in 3. Damn. My man Ryan putting all the stake on that push. I mean, it is what it is, though. It's added to the stage. Let's finish this up.
For me, doesn't matter. Listen, I prepare 22 years for this business and the boxing. Boxing is not my life. My life is Jesus. But boxing give me opportunity, give me team, give me like I'm famous, have money, You gotta love Usyk at the same time, man. Man humble with it, bro. Man humble with it. I love life. Boxing is часть. Part of my life.
You stood with Daniel.
Yeah,
Was that the hardest punch?
was that the hardest punch? 22 years in boxing, man. Hundreds of fights probably at this point. And you know, it's does good for the promotion, obviously.
On the,
you know,
the pitch at Wembley.
does good for the promotion of the fight. Obviously, you know, there doesn't need to be any shoving because there's already a backstory to this. They already fought once. There's no real reason to not, you know, keep this in there. But just going along with what we're to expect, you know, it's interesting to sometimes listen to some of these opinions, right? And what's up, my little dog trying to scratch at the door? Give me a second. There you go, little guy. All I heard in the background was, what the hell? What the helly? But what's interesting to also listen to is some of the opinions, right, from common opponents. And, you know, Anthony Joshua being one of the common opponents between these two guys is something to consider, right? So let's see what Anthony Joshua had to say, all right, about that. Let me see. There we go.
Realistically, has he got any chance? We've got 30 seconds.
Of course he has.
I'm going to try to put the volume back on here because it's so hard to put the volume back up. Man. There we go. Want to put an extra little volume to you guys.
The thing with Usyk is he doesn't depend on his power to knock you out. He depends on his skill. That's why it's a tough ask, because he's going to box rings around you if you let him. Dubois, good luck. Don Charles, good luck. Great British boxing, good luck. We potentially might have a heavyweight championship back on our soil.
On Daniel Dubois against Alexander Usyk.
So I'll let it play again, right? But that is a good point. You know, but Dubois can land. Dubois can land a hard punch between Dubois can land a hard punch. You know, he's gonna be landing hard punches. And you know, to just let Anthony Usyk box circles around him, it's gonna take Usyk a perfect fight for him not to get hit. And honestly, now thinking about it, Daniel Dubois being a hard puncher like he is in this fight, and I didn't see enough of it in the other fight. It's you know, Canelo does this so well. He targets the arms, right? He starts to break you down, and Usyk's the type of guy that you're not gonna outbox him. You know, you're gonna have to try to break him down. And that's going to take a lot of grittiness, right? And much carefulness, because you could run into some ugly counters. But from the attitude that I'm seeing from Daniel Dubois, I think that that's the fight that we should expect. A guy that's going to go in there and try to batter him. But he has to batter him every way he can. It's not just about looking for that liver shot or that gut shot. It's beating the arms down and really punishing your guy, right? That boxer, that purist, so that he can't do what he does so well, you know, move around. So breaking down the body, obviously, and of course, pummeling the arms should be a tactic that they should implement in there. Because like Anthony said, bro, he could box. He could just, you know, win the fight off of just boxing and winning on points. That's what he was famous for doing anyway, you know. Let's go back real quick to the actual comment section, the chatty patty. And thank you guys for, you know, starting the day with me here on the Boxing Biz YouTube channel. Check us out across all streaming platforms and, of course, social media platforms, the Boxing Biz. If you guys take a look, matter of fact, maybe I can put it up here on the, well, if you do see the StreamYard, StreamYard link on the chat. You guys can actually tap in with us if you want to on the StreamYard chat. And, go ahead and call in. Of course, we're using the Discord, so make sure you tune in and follow us on the Boxing Biz Discord. And we can get you on air that way as well. I was going to try to pin this, but I'm going to see if I can do it from the actual Boxing Biz YouTube channel, YouTube studio. So I don't think I actually pinned it from what I can see. There we go. Matter of fact, I'll pin it now. So, yeah, at the top of the YouTube chat, I don't know if it'll work for X and Facebook, but if you look for one of the comments, if you're on Facebook or Twitter, if you look at one of the comments that were put into the stream, it's the Boxing Biz StreamYard link, so you guys could tap in with us that way if you want to come on the show, speak your piece this morning. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about what Richard Hitchins and Kambosos, had to give us this weekend. Eddie Hearn doesn't like disloyalty. Richard Hitchins obviously saying that he's a free agent and didn't rub Eddie Hearn the right way. So, he got on the phone with Turki Al-Sheikh. And it's crazy that Eddie puts it that, oh, yeah, I got a call from Turkey. So you just got a call from Turkey calling you, telling you, yeah, we're not going to do any business with Richard Hitchins unless he's with you. I'm pretty sure you sent out the call, champ. I'm pretty sure there was a message sent out. I don't know if I'm going to give all the credit to Turk. The Turk just called up and kind of said that. Again, these are boxing relationships amongst promoters. And, fighters can be a little tricky, right? Obviously, you're a promoter. Your money is invested. So, yeah, you got to know how to protect the bag, protect your bag, and protect your investments. And if you're invested, obviously, in a guy like Richard Hitchins and lost money and, now are in line to possibly start making money since he's in a better position, Richard Hitchins, then you don't want, a fighter to leave you assed out as a promoter. Then no bueno, bad business. All right, so let's see, get back to the comment section. Man, I'm flooded over here. It's okay. My man Ryan Hong says after that push, I think, okay, got that. I'm a very shit, Ryan, you had me on that one. Ryan Hong says, I'm very feel. Usyk is a character, bro. He's a funny dude, bro. My life is Jesus. That's what he said. Usyk is amazing, man. Yeah, bro. He's an amazing dude. You can't help but to like the guy. The guy's he's a stand-up dude. And I'm rooting for Daniel Dubois just because I like Usyk and I've always rooted for Usyk. I think Usyk is probably one of the best fighters of this generation, right? He's done a lot. You could talk about him, Terence, Canelo, when you're talking about pound for pound and accomplishments in the last decade. You're going to have these guys in your conversations. So Usyk, this is Clarissa Turcio, says, Usyk's career has been overshadowed by Canelo and Bud. Yeah, well, that's what it is right now, Boxing is basically what have you done for me lately and what's new and what's going on for the next week. So, Canelo versus Terence Crawford is taking precedence right now over so many fights. And it's the fight that everybody's really, truly expecting right now. Shout out to my man and cousin, Abel Rojas in the building. Says Hitchins got him. Shout out to the Facebook family too, man. Cuzzo Abel comes back around and says Kambosos ain't the same. Yeah, you know what, man? We're going to speak a little bit about that, too, since one of the main topics was, Richard Hitchins and the results that we saw. What do we say about Kambosos? And we could bring him up, too, on some of the things that he said post-fight about his career and the things that he's done, right? But Kambosos, is he the same guy? Well, you got to understand, he's fighting all the new guys, the young guys, right? He's fighting all the top guys, and he's coming up short. He's coming up short right now. But can we put him up against these top guys anymore? Good question. Good question. Something to think about. Is he the same? Of course he's not the same. He's not on the same. He doesn't have that confidence, right? I mean, you beat a young guy from Australia. I mean, I wasn't going to give you too much credit for that fight, obviously. But Kambosos definitely is not the same, and you can see some of that. I think that for a long time, Kambosos was fighting ferociously, right? And then he just got into, I guess, he got into this kind of like, I want to box also mentality, right? Because you're facing guys that are great boxers. Even when he fought Devin, I felt like when he fought Devin, twice. He fought him twice, but like he was trying to fight him as a boxer also. You can't do that. You can't go in there and expect to be a better boxer than a Devin Haney. You can't be going in there to be a better boxer than a Richard Hitchins. And, for Teofimo Lopez, he really came in there, ferocious, right? And I guess he had a little bit more of his own flavor, right? He had his own style. I'm trying to describe this the best way I can for you guys. I feel like Kambosos he was really into his style when he fought Teofimo Lopez. He was really into confident in what he's able to do with his own style. Then he moves along to Devin, and then it's like trying to box too. Not working out for you, champ. Shout out to Abel on the return, says since he got paid. Kambosos ain't the same since he got paid. I mean, he been getting paid though, Cuzzo. So you're talking about since he got paid with Teofimo Lopez? I think that was his real first big payday. So I think that after and look, Richard Hitchins said it too. Like Kambosos has been living off that TO win for so long. He was harping that shit for so long. Clarissa Turcio says they need to be careful. It could end up a lawsuit in the States. Speak like that about Hitchins. Speak like that about Hitchins. Who's speaking like that? I don't know if Kambosos is not the same or he is fighting very good fighters. Another good point. Clarissa cooking today. Yeah, he's just fighting better fighters. That's what it is. I mean, I'm pretty sure you put him in there with other guys that are, coming up. And, like, look, with Maxie, he went 12 rounds with a Maxie Hughes. And going back to what Abel's saying, right? Is he the same? Like, maybe not. Maybe he's not the same. If you're giving me 12 rounds with a Maxie Hughes. When was this actually, Maxie Hughes? Seems like it was like forever ago. Wow, it's 23? Okay. No, it was Jake. It wasn't Maxie Hughes, man. It was Jake Wiley. That was the kid he fought. Right? I'm trying to figure this out right now. Jake Wiley. What in the hell am I looking at here? So Richard Hitchins, Jake Wiley. Yeah, it was Jake. I don't know why I said Maxie Hughes, but he did win against Maxie. So it was Jake Wiley. So he went 12 rounds with Jake Wiley. And if you really start to really, make the comparison, it's like you got an up-and-coming young guy. You went 12 rounds with him. You beat him, but you went 12 rounds with him, right? It's not giving me that confidence that I need in order to say, okay, Kambosos is still the same. So you might be right. You definitely right, Abel. But it also, you have to consider a few things, right? You have to consider a few things. Who else is on here? Shout out to Clarissa Turcio. Clarissa, you cooking up this morning. That's what's up. That is what's up. Clarissa goes back around and says, I was talking about Turkey and Eddie speaking sounds like blackballing. Oh, okay. Or blackmailing him to resign with Eddie. Sounds like a lawsuit to me if they are not careful. Yeah, it could turn out to be like that. I don't think that they would be in position lawfully to go into I mean, look, a promotion is just, they don't want to do business with you, they're not going to do business with you. I don't think there's any boxing laws in place, or laws period within the boxing scope, to be able to do that, right? To sue somebody because they don't want to do business with you. They don't want to do business with you. They're private entities. They don't have to do business with you. They do business with whom they want. Still not good though. Still not a good look. It makes Turkey seem like a bully, right? I think Eddie Hearn should have kept that shit in his pocket, and maybe Eddie said it just to kind of put it out there so that give Richard Hitchins and the managing team something to think about. Again, this is chess, not checkers. But, really thinking about it now, Eddie's saying that, I got the call from Turkey. Says that, we won't be doing any business with Richard Hitchins unless it's with Matchroom. Like, you're looking like a bully right now, champ. And it's hard to call Turk a bully when he spent all his money on boxing and making it great again. But yeah, Turkey every now and then, he's flexing. And listen, when you're paying out this much money, I mean, and not just the money, right? We always come back with the whole money. We talk Turkey, we talk money. I mean, the guy really likes boxing. You got to give him that. You know what I'm saying? Just like us, the regular Joes, we love boxing. We want to see the fights be made. So, Turkey, it's not like he's catering just to himself, He's catering to the boxing fans and all of us that want to see these good fights made. So it's kind of hard to put, it's kind of hard to flip it on Turk when he's done, he's done pretty much a lot and shaken up the game enough to make boxing better. But it does kind of put you in that little bully mode, champ. All right, Turk, if you're listening to the Boxing Biz, we like you over here. But sometimes some of the things that are said, done, could cause the public to see you a little bit like a bully, right? I appreciated the Tom and Jerry No More Fights. But see, it's all interpretation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Raymond Ford got a good point. You can't just change people's boxing style. You can't do that. And, we spoke on that a few episodes ago. And it's something to really consider. So I think misinterpretation, loss of words. I want to hear more about what Turk said, because Eddie put him out there as basically saying, like, I'm not doing business with Hitchins unless it's with you. So it's like, you putting me in the trap. Champ, fall back. All right. And again, tune in with us on Boxing After Lunch at 1 o'clock. We'll be back around, talk some more boxing, more news. And you know how we do it over here at the Boxing Biz. We always pivot, slip and punches, and you never know what we get into. Shout out to everybody that was on the Chatty Patty this morning, starting out your road work with me here on the Boxing Biz. Much appreciated. Make sure you hit that like button. Tell a friend. Send that link over to them and let them know that we talk boxing over here, and we do it all day. All right? Multiple times a day. So what else I got for you guys? I guess that's it for now. Again, Boxing After Lunch at 1 p.m. Fall back, small back, come back with us, and we'll be right here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Facebook family, YouTube family, X Factory. I said X Factory. X Family. Appreciate y'all, man. This is the Doomatron. And he started out the morning activated.
Doomatron activated.
But now we are deactivated. Check you guys out. Boxing After Lunch, 1 p.m.